Couple questions. First of all, how much do you love passkeys?
I love passkeys. They're the greatest thing in the whole
Oh my
world.
God. Like when I used to be, because I do I do the GitHub organization management for my organization
Yep.
for the entire DevRel part of Oracle. And I used to have to, every time you can be logged in, but if you want to change the collaborators on a repo, it'll ask you to do a 2FA login again. And it used to always be either I had to pull up the GitHub mobile app and punch in the 2-digit code, or I'd have to get a text message and punch in a 2FA code. And on my Mac, that's a pain in the ass.
Yes.
And now I have passkeys, and I can always just click the use passkey and then unlock one password,
Yes.
click a button, done.
No, that's
It's so much
No.
faster. I use it for Google, GitHub, my health insurance lets me use passkeys. Yeah, I think it's the future. It's so cool.
No, it's so great. And the way that 1Password does it is especially really
Uh-huh.
nice because, like, nothing against like the other implementations, but like it is sort of annoying on a desktop to have to hold up your phone and scan
Mhm.
a QR code and then
Oh
authenticate
yeah,
your face.
because 1Password can actually do a screen capture.
Right.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
so
No, that's
So
awesome.
with what 1Password is doing is that when you have a passkey that's saved in 1Password, if you're authenticated through 1Password, then the passkey authenticates in your browser. So I'm
Yeah.
not having to touch a YubiKey. I'm not having to authenticate with my, Face
Yep.
ID with a QR code and whatnot. So for where it becomes really useful for me, and I think this would be useful for you as well, like you can use a keyboard that has a fingerprint sensor with your Mac Studio, but I don't know if you do because we're going to talk about keyboards in a little bit. Right. But you probably don't. Right. But like I have an Intel iMac and it has a T2 display or T2 chip. So it is like secure in that respect, but Apple refuses to let you use biometric login with it. Like I can't use one of their biometric keyboards on it, even though it's secure enough because
On 1Password.
no, with Mac OS. So
Wow.
this is why 1Password is great. So like one of the like which means like because for instance you could use passkeys on like Safari or some other things like using fingerprint sensor without having to authenticate, like without having to do the hold up your phone and scan the QR code and then face authenticate thing. But what I like about 1Password is that and so this is one of the reasons why I have like a YubiKey like hanging off the back of my iMac, which no, it's not secure. No one's in my house. Fuck off. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like it's one of
right.
those things. Like I'm anticipating all of the well actually people who are never going to listen to this, but I hear you anyway, and I'm anticipating your objections, and I'm telling you I understand and I don't care. But what's great about 1Password is that because like I can, once I authenticate, to get into that, like all my passkeys work without me having to touch a YubiKey or log in with another biometric means, which on this current machine I don't have. Like Okta Desktop won't work on my iMac because it doesn't have a biometric sensor. So, but yet passkeys for Okta work through 1Password.
Nice.
So yeah.
Have you ever used so you know how you can have authenticator apps like Google has one,
Yes.
Oracle has one, Microsoft has one,
Yeah.
and they give you your 6-digit,
Yes.
your 2FA code. And I hate opening, like I'll be logging into like Oracle and it'll ask me to pull out my phone,
Yes.
open the authenticator app, copy or like memorize the code and then type it in.
Right.
And that's a pain in the butt. If you can set up 1Password as your authenticator
It'll
app,
autofill.
which works most places.
It does.
Yeah, it just autofills
so great.
your 2FA code every time. So I've been trying to port everything over to that. It has not worked. Oracle, for some reason, demands that you use their app.
Yeah, Microsoft does too for logging into Microsoft things. And they do it in a weird way where like they send me a thing where they're like, type in this code in this app. So it's not the same TOT. Now, like you can use the Microsoft Authenticator app as a TOTP provider.
Mhm.
And for non-corporate accounts, you could actually, I'm pretty sure you could probably set up Google Authenticator or Authy or 1Password or
Mhm.
another, TOTP provider to be the person who would provide you like that code, like for like your consumer Xbox account or consumer Outlook account or whatever. However, I think it's now called Intra, which is such a fucking bad name, but it used to be Azure Active Directory, but now it's or Azure AD. Now it's Intra. But for that, you have to with an E. Yeah, it's a fucking weird name. I'm like Intra is really close to Encarta if you think about it, and that's weird because I bet the people who came up with the name don't even remember Encarta, but I do because I was a child and I loved it. Anyway, Intra, that app like makes you log in with your face or some other way and then type in like the characters that it will show you on your
Yeah,
screen into the app.
that's the way GitHub, the GitHub mobile app authentication. If you choose to use, yeah, you have to load up GitHub mobile
Right.
and then type in the code, which is honestly easier to me than looking at my phone and copying
Yeah.
by hand a 6-digit
No,
code.
totally. I mean, and I agree with that. I actually prefer like tell me what to type into my phone rather than the other way around. I'm with you. But like
Yeah,
the best thing is just like autofill it for me.
yeah,
Or in the case
it's so
or in the
awesome.
case of GitHub, use a passkey, right? Because you can use passkeys
Yep,
with GitHub,
yep.
and then that's great. And what's great about 1Password, what I like so passkeys right now aren't fully like exportable, although apparently that's going to be coming to the spec. But I will save the same passkey or maybe two different passkeys, but will both be authenticated the
Mhm.
same way, both like in my phone's password manager folder as well as on 1Password. And
Yep,
then I can select like on my phone, like where do you want what passkey, where do you want to use it from? And I'm like, great.
yep.
And the only annoying thing about like Google's passkey implementation is that it doesn't sync, so you have to have like a different passkey. Like you have like if you have a passkey set up for Chrome, for instance, you need to do that like on every device that you've got Chrome installed on.
Yeah.
And it's great. And for most people who don't have how many computers do I have? 4 or 5? Yeah, I'm literally counting. I'm literally counting in my head because I'm like, I mean, it's 4 that I use heavily, and then and that doesn't count the iPhone and iPad, and then like I have a fifth. So yeah, technically a sixth, but yeah, but I don't do other stuff on that one. So yeah, most people don't have that situation, but like for someone
Yeah.
like me, I'm like, I appreciate how 1Password does it because I just need to install 1Password everywhere, and then my passkeys are working